Hey there, space explorers! Ever stop to think about that yellowish goop in your ears? It might seem gross, but earwax, or cerumen to be scientific, holds fascinating clues about your DNA. Yes, you heard that right. That humble earwax is a window into your genetic makeup, passed down through generations of your family. Join me on a journey into the microscopic world of genes and inheritance to uncover the secrets hidden within your earwax. We often associate genetics with complex traits like eye color or height, but did you know that even something as simple as earwax type is determined by your genes? It's true. The consistency and color of your earwax are influenced by a single gene. This gene acts like a set of instructions passed down from your parents. That dictates whether you'll have wet or dry earwax. Pretty cool, right? Before we dive into the nitty-gritty of earwax genetics, let's take a step back and understand the concept of heredity. Heredity is like a relay race, where parents pass on a set of instructions, called genes, to their offspring. These genes are like blueprints that determine our traits, from the color of our hair to our predisposition to certain diseases. They are segments of DNA, the molecule of life coiled up tightly within our cells. Think of your genes as a vast library filled with countless books, each book representing a specific gene. These books contain the instructions for building and maintaining your body. You inherit half of your genes from your mother and half from your father, creating a unique combination that makes you you. It's like shuffling two decks of cards and getting a brand new hand. Our understanding of heredity wouldn't be complete without mentioning the groundbreaking work of Gregor Mendel, the father of genetics. In the 19th century, long before the discovery of DNA, Mendel conducted meticulous experiments with pea plants, unraveling the fundamental principles of inheritance. He observed that traits like flower color and seed shape were passed down from parent plants to their offspring in predictable patterns. Mendel's experiments revealed that traits are determined by discrete units of inheritance, which we now call genes. He proposed that genes come in pairs, with one copy inherited from each parent. These different versions of a gene are called alleles, and they can be either dominant or recessive. Dominant alleles, like the one for wet earwax, only need one copy to express their trait, while recessive alleles, like the one for dry earwax, need two copies to show up. Now let's zoom in on the gene responsible for earwax type. This gene, located on chromosome 16, comes in two main versions, or alleles, one for wet earwax, W, and one for dry earwax, W. The wet earwax allele, W, is dominant, while the dry earwax allele, W, is recessive. This means that if you inherit at least one copy of the wet earwax allele from either parent, you'll have wet earwax. Only if you inherit two copies of the dry earwax allele, WW, will you have dry earwax. Imagine a family where the father has wet earwax, DW, and the mother has dry earwax, WW. Each parent contributes one allele to their offspring. The father has a 50% chance of passing on the W allele, and a 50% chance of passing on the W allele. The mother, on the other hand, can only pass on the W allele. Therefore, their children have a 50% chance of inheriting the WW combination, wet earwax, and a 50% chance of inheriting the WW combination, dry earwax. Section 5, the scent connection, earwax and body odor. Here's where things get even more interesting. The gene that determines your earwax type is also linked to body odor. You see, the wet earwax allele is associated with increased production of sweat and odor from glands in the armpits and groin. So if you have wet earwax, you're more likely to have a stronger body odor than someone with dry earwax. Don't worry though, it's perfectly natural. This connection between earwax type and body odor highlights how a single gene can influence multiple seemingly unrelated traits. It's like a genetic two-for-one deal. The same gene that dictates the consistency of your earwax also plays a role in regulating sweat production. Who knew earwax could be so multi-talented? Section 6. Beyond single genes, the complexity of traits. While earwax type is a relatively simple trait determined by a single gene, most human characteristics are much more complex. Traits like height, skin color, and intelligence are influenced by the combined effects of hundreds or even thousands of genes, each contributing a small piece to the puzzle. These polygenic traits, as they are called, result in a continuous spectrum of variation within a population. Think of it like baking a cake. Earwax type is like adding a pinch of salt, a single ingredient that makes a noticeable difference. But most traits are like the flour, sugar, eggs, and butter, a combination of many ingredients that interact to create the final product. Polygenic inheritance is what makes each of us unique, with a blend of traits influenced by countless genes. Section 7. When genes go wrong, understanding genetic disorders. Sometimes errors can occur in our genes, leading to genetic disorders. These disorders can range in severity from mild to life-threatening and can be inherited from parents or arise spontaneously. One example is cystic fibrosis, a genetic disorder that affects the lungs and digestive system. Cystic fibrosis is caused by a mutation in a single gene that controls the movement of salt and water in and out of cells. In cystic fibrosis, the mutated gene produces a faulty protein that disrupts the normal function of cells lining the airways and pancreas. This leads to the buildup of thick, sticky mucus, causing breathing problems, recurrent lung infections, and digestive issues. Cystic fibrosis is an example of how a single gene defect can have significant consequences for an individual's health and well-being. Section 8. Fun with genes, tongue rolling, lactose, and more. Beyond earwax type and complex disorders, there are many other fascinating genetic traits that make us who we are. Take tongue rolling, for instance. Some people can effortlessly roll their tongue into a tube shape, while others struggle in vain. This ability is thought to be influenced by a single gene, although the exact mechanism is still debated. Another interesting example is lactose tolerance. Most mammals, including humans, lose the ability to digest lactose, the sugar in milk, after infancy. However, some populations evolve the ability to continue producing the enzyme lactase, allowing them to digest milk throughout adulthood. This lactose persistence is linked to specific gene variants that regulate lactase production. It's a testament to the power of natural selection in shaping human genetic diversity. Section 9. The future of genes, gene therapy, and beyond. As we delve deeper into the intricacies of the human genome, we're unlocking unprecedented opportunities to understand, diagnose, and even treat genetic disorders. Gene therapy, a revolutionary field of medicine, holds the promise of correcting faulty genes at their source. By delivering functional copies of genes into cells affected by genetic mutations, scientists hope to cure or alleviate a wide range of diseases. Imagine a future where we can replace disease-causing genes with healthy ones, effectively curing genetic disorders like cystic fibrosis, sickle cell anemia, and Huntington's disease. While gene therapy is still in its early stages, it has the potential to transform medicine and alleviate human suffering in ways we can only begin to imagine. The future of genetics is bright, and the possibilities are endless.